What was the?
Well, that's because he's so naive. He's not that. He's not a professional criminal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's smart enough to troll Craigslist because he grew up in the internet generation.
Right.
But not smart enough to know that every hotel lobby's got 8 cameras.
But that does reek of desperation. This is the guy.
I don't think
No?
it's naivete. It's not. I don't
But I think the more desperate you get in the hopeless or desperate phase of whatever you're going through, I think you do become more reckless. I mean,
Look how desperate he must have been, Geraldo. This woman was shot. He left the hotel. He's lucky he didn't get caught. And what does he do? Allegedly, he went out and he did it again. He hasn't been charged with that attack in Warwick. That's desperation.
He will be charged in Warwick. I believe.
His fingerprint was found in the hotel
now.
room.
They now have a fingerprint.
Now they have a
That's not
fingerprint,
desperate
and
to
they
me.
have.
That's
and they're
him
trying
with
to cuss him.
That's him with his fiancée.
I think that when you're a non-pro, I really think that people don't realize when you walk in the subways, I don't care what station you take in the New York MTA, you're going to be on the camera. You're going to be, it's like London, your picture's going to be taken.
Yeah.
You walk any street in Midtown, you're going to be on
Some
multiple
surveillance
cameras.
Right.
And the only way you don't know that is if you're not a pro, if you're not a professional criminal, if you're one of these housewife criminals, or he's a schmuck.
But
he's a medical student schmuck who got
Right.
in trouble and had a great idea and didn't think it through because he's not a professional criminal.
Except the only
and
thing
he's
that
going to kill himself, by the way.
he's trying.
He's going to
He's
try
trying.
his best. He's going to kill himself.
Yeah. The only thing that defies in that logic is, again, the fact that he kept souvenirs. And depending on how many souvenirs, which we don't know yet, and how many DNAs they can tie it to past robberies, that'll be the end of the case for the police, other than the ballistics and everything else that came from the Marriott hotel room.
That's why I think that the murders were not sex crimes. They were not related to his sexual obsession. This is different than Melissa Huckabee on the West Coast with Sandra
I
Cantu,
think
where
the
these
murder was not
The
planned.
murder was,
the
she
murder
starts fighting back.
And he hit her first. And he hit her first.
Bam.
Right.
Right.
Well, he
and
hit her
that's my
first. I
defense
think
if I'm
he
his
hit her
lawyer.
first, and she was starting to scream, and the gun then came
Well,
out.
you hit a hooker. She looks beautiful. She looks like a
Yeah.
little cheerleader,
Right.
and all of a sudden she's a triple black belt.
Right, and she started to fight you
Yeah.
like crazy in a hotel
Exactly.
room, and you're going to
Like
get caught.
she's like a cat on your back.
Right.
Yeah, pretty soon.
You act like you've been down that road before.
I've been down every road you can think of at my age, brother.
I would have never thought.
That's why I love you so much.
You get a prostitute into a room and she would have money on her. The robber. Why would she be bringing $800 with her?
I think that was
Because
her
maybe it's
hotel
not
room.
her first customer. I mean, she's alone in a hotel. She's come up from New York. How do you know?
She's making $200 a pop.
It's pricey hotels.
By
too.
well,
That's
Craigslist
upscale
for a quick
hotel.
massage
Michael, while
and a
we
happy
have you
ending.
here, you're
$200.
gambling.
That's what you pay for a straight massage.
How much?
Look it up on Google.
Michael Osborne is a gambling behavioral addiction expert. What are the besides the sign of a guy's always in a casino? I mean, are there telltale signs if you are starting to worry about a family member who might have a problem?
You know, depending on their game of choice, and there's many now, the problem is with the internet, you're seeing this demographic come down to a much younger age. I mean, the college kid with the Texas Hold'em poker and things like that. I mean,
I see it with my kids.
credit card debt,
cool.
not paying bills, preoccupation with wanting to be on the internet to play and not going out with their friends or their girlfriend. The sad thing is that we live in a country where 48 out of your 50 states balance their budgets off of legalized gambling, so they're not going to attack you like they do drugs and alcohol. But since the inception of internet gambling, and with these people are getting in action in Antigua and Belize and all these offshore islands. I mean, passing the bill with the Port Security Act has done nothing. I mean, the offshore gambling venues are so far ahead of us, and these college kids, we treat more kids between 19 and 24 than we ever have.
Is that right? So it's gotten a lot worse, is
Oh,
what
yes.
you're saying.
Oh, yeah. The demographic in the last 3 years has gone from 35 to 55-year-old male to 19 to 30-year-old. I mean, predominantly coming.
You're talking about Craigslist responsibility. What about Foxwoods? What about these casinos? I mean, I believe that's where some
ignorance.
responsibility lies.
You're exactly.
But I also think the only way you're going to straighten this out is legalize these crimes. These sin crimes
I look at other things
We're
too.
talking about prostitution.
Prostitution,
Wait.
gambling,
Yeah.
That's how you
you
prevent.
regulate, you have a czar.
But I don't think it would have stopped a guy from going in there and robbing.
If this
him.
kid-
I mean, I agree with you on the moral issue, but I don't think it would have stopped this guy from going in and trying to rob him for whatever the
He
reason
had a
was.
But if
dark
he was
side.
such
He
a
wasn't into
desperate
gambling.
stick-
He was heading down this
But why didn't he
path.
go to the
Oh, yeah.
7-Eleven? He had the gun. Why
Yeah.
didn't he go to, why didn't he go do a traditional?
Because he knew that
stick-up
someone
if he
could
was
blow him away.
Because he felt
Because
we
the 7-Eleven guy
never-
could have the
he-
shot.
Yeah.
We don't know what else he may have done, number one.
But
Yet.
he saw this as a way to make money without
I
a
think
victim
you'll find 10,
reporting.
12 hooker
Yes. Oh, I think
related,
more.
stick-ups.
I wouldn't be shocked if it was
Well,
more.
He's only 23.
Yeah, well, but I think he's been doing it for a while.
I think they have an idea because apparently he was keeping panties as souvenirs from his.
How do you know
Conquest.
what's a conquest and what's a stick-up? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Not that I keep trophies.
I don't know either. Maybe he marked them somehow.
Maybe.
So, David Lee, when you were in the courtroom, was it a mob scene? Was it packed? Every seat filled? What was the mood in there?
To me, it was sort of cliche. I've covered enough of these, and this played out like most of them, with one dramatic exception. It was packed. The media was there. Cameras focused. The kid came in. He didn't look at the media. Didn't say a word. His lawyer did all the speaking. Where were his mother and father? Where was his
They visited him
fiance?
today.
Today they paid him a visit. I called up
Shame.
I
Shame.
called up the father's dental office. His father's a dentist in upstate New York. I called up the day that the kid is in court, and I said, I'd like to speak to Dr. Markoff. I'm sorry, he's with a patient. I said, excuse me, to the receptionist. Is he aware his son is in court today facing murder charges and spend the rest of his life in prison? I'm sorry, he's with a patient. Now, I thought that may have been a cover. Maybe he was going to be in court, but lo and behold, the parents didn't show, the girlfriend didn't show, the kid was alone. I thought that was unusual, and I thought it said a lot about his support or lack of support system.
So publicly, they may be supporting him, but I mean, publicly in
previous to now,
interviews.
what parent? I mean, normally, Rick, you've been to enough of these trials. Usually, relatives are there to
course.
claim the innocence or to
Every
be
time.
apologist, to speak out in some capacity.
At least to see their son or
something to
daughter.
say.
Yeah.
In this case, there was
Did the
no one there.
fiance live with Markoff? Do we know? Did she live with him?
I think so, but I know that they housed together. I know that
they
the
spent
reports
time
are that
in-
they spent time together
Quincy.
in his apartment. I don't know if they legitimately lived together.
Cynthia writes she's glad the girls are listening to this whole conversation. I mean, it is important for people to know that there are monsters out there, as Cynthia put it.
You
Gamblers
mentioned
don't
parents,
save
but
panties.
you know when Brisman got when it was clear who the victim was, you didn't see her parents either.
They were in court.
They were.
They were in court.
They didn't mention a word until well after the fact that their daughter was murdered, because the guy obviously came a week later. And it was because of the revelation that their aspiring actress daughter they're so proud of and bragging about is actually a hooker. So I think there's shame involved there in both those cases.
But I think that's more understandable than his parents not showing up. I mean, listen, I've covered a lot of cases. We've made a lot of
lawyer.
What?
Who do you think's paying the
Daddy.
Yeah.
Of course Daddy's paying it. But the fact that his parents don't show up, I think, is more telling than his fiancée. His fiancée immediately put out a thing to the networks talking about how she stands behind him. She
And she
can't
says
believe
she
it's
still
him.
is.
And
She
she
thinks
still
he
is.
was set up.
As of this morning, yeah.
And her father was on the air this morning talking about how this was a good kid, and he finds it hard to believe.
Now, that's
that
not
he could be-
unusual either, though.
No, but I'm saying it's her
fiancé
father.
Don't attack
But I haven't
her.
heard his father talking.
He was just so convincing that she's still in disbelief.
Really? I think that's right.
He also apparently tried to kill himself. They said they had shoelace marks
Marks
on his neck.
Well, that goes to Geraldo's point.
They didn't look that dramatic, although I totally believe that he will be a suicide.
I do
But
too.
how is it that he would be allowed to enter jail with his shoelaces on in the first place? Don't they normally take those from you?
Every jail I've been in. Every jail I've
Geraldo,
been in.
you've been in jail. You don't take your shoelaces?
I never had a shoelace.
His pants belt was taken.
Or a
He
pants.
wasn't wearing the pants belt.
But
when I
you
saw
can
him.
hang
His
yourself
pants,
with anything.
his belt was missing in
It
court.
was missing in court.
You can hang yourself with a sheet, with a pillowcase, with.
We have an email from Ray Duran. He says, "Are there services to educate students at universities regarding gambling?" I mean,
It's overlooked.
No.
No, it's overlooked. It's sad. The kids are taught drugs and alcohol growing up all through high school, but the gambling is a big thing out there right now, and it's overlooked.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Pedro thinks I brought Veronica in here to scare her with this topic today. That's not the case.
And Brooke, too.
Believe me, I've tried to scare her many times.
No, that's Rick's daughter right there.
I know, I met
Yeah.
her.
She's
That's
beyond
the
that.
That's her
friend.
girlfriend.
She won't let me scare her. It's not really possible.
Who's the singer?
Gary Fields is the singer. This is his CD.
Is he going to play?
He will be performing. I'm not sure exactly when, but he looks like he's ready. What's that? It is a quarter of. Yeah. Do we want to get to that now?
I guess 10 of.
Oh, 10 of. Part of the problem with identifying criminals and really bad behavior is that normal people cannot imagine or understand what in the world is going on in the criminals' minds.
How many times do you guys go out as reporters, the three reporters who are sitting here, and the guy has done, or the girl has done a horrific act. The police have arrested the person that allegedly did it, and you interview neighbors and friends and family. I can't believe that this is. He was such a great guy. He was such a great neighbor. He held the door
Who
for
was it?
me.
Hannah Arendt, after the Holocaust, talked about the banality of evil when Eichmann was on trial in Israel. It's banal.
But in this
so
case,
ordinary.
in this case, and
look at these people and what?
sometimes people do are obvious
Manson.
fringes on the fringes. And in this case, there were people who came forward and said, that guy was always weird. He talked. He said strange things about women.
The anecdotes were pretty benign, though. I mean, he pushed one girl up against the wall
and tried to kiss her.
And tried to kiss her, and she stayed friends with him. Right. You know, if that's the
and never
best
reported
to
anyone.
That's not much.
Yeah.
And he wasn't so much an ordinary guy. In some respects, he was extraordinary in that he was so smart. He did so well in medical school. That girl that you talked about said he didn't have to study with the same effort that most other students did, and that's why this is especially shocking.
Well, he clearly
it's a good school. It's hard to get into.
He didn't need his Grey's Anatomy book.
Well, he did, but not to read.